hold on to your seats, because this movie is a wild ride through a world scorched by a fallen giant meteoroid, leaving behind a fragile city ruled by a dogmatic church and a mysterious witch named Gray. Imagine a landscape of ash, where life clings to a single city under the iron fist of a patriarchal priest. The air crackles with fear and obedience, but there's a whisper of hope, or perhaps temptation, in the form of Gray, a witch who grants desires. Suddenly, the church, in a bizarre twist, declares Gray must be eliminated so people will join her. The patriarch unleashes his enforcer, a figure of grim authority, who brutally ends Gray's life in front of everyone. A collective gasp, a moment of despair. But wait, just as the enforcer turns his back, a flicker of magic. Gray, seemingly resurrected, uses her powers to play a deadly game of illusion. She hypnotizes one of the enforcer's men, painting a terrifying picture of his own demise. In a panic, the possessed soldier fires his weapon, not at Gray, but at the rope suspending her, a clever escape. Then, another illusion, the witch advancing, and the soldier, still trapped in Gray's spell, tragically shoots his own comrade. The enforcer, alerted by the chaos, returns to a gruesome scene. He silences the bewitched soldier, and a frantic hunt for Gray begins. But she's a phantom, unseen, even as she lurks nearby. Then, in a shocking turn, the seemingly loyal enforcer turns on his own men, slaughtering them one by one. Cornered, the enforcer offers his neck, a strange resignation in his voice. But Gray doesn't kill him. Instead, he takes his own life, leaving a bewildered silence in his wake. The scene shifts abruptly to Boyce, a lone figure traversing the desolate landscape. Ambush. Raiders descend upon him, and even one of his own tries to betray him. But out of nowhere, a bizarre two-headed snake strikes, felling the traitor. What follows is a breathtaking display of skill and lethal grace. Boyce, a whirlwind of motion and gunfire, cuts down the remaining bandits, revealing he's no ordinary traveler, he's a formidable bounty hunter. We find Gray again, in the opulent presence of a queen and her enigmatic companion. The queen desires the power of a shapeshifter, and Gray, with a knowing glint in her eyes, demands a hefty price, promising to deliver by the next full moon, a mere 6 days away. As they depart, the queen's special man intercepts Gray, urging her to abandon the queen's request, sensing a dark purpose. Surprisingly, Gray agrees, not out of choice, but compulsion, a curse that binds her to fulfill any wish. Now, the impossible task. Satisfying two opposing desires, Gray unleashes her magic, searching the ravaged lands for the elusive shapeshifter. Visions flood her mind, countless hunters drawn to their doom, becoming prey themselves. Then, a brutal encounter, the shapeshifter's power overwhelming her, shattering her magic in a terrifying instant. Back in the royal court, we finally see the king, frail and bedridden. Gray arrives, seeking Boyce. She recognizes his exceptional skills and offers him a lucrative deal. Not to kill the shapeshifter, but to journey with her to the Lost Land, the only place where the shapeshifter can be truly defeated and his power claimed. Boyce warns her of the perilous path ahead, teeming with demons and treacherous terrain. But Gray is resolute. Their journey is fraught with danger. The relentless church, still hunting Gray, attacks. A desperate escape ensues. Meanwhile, news reaches the patriarch that the queen has secretly met with Gray, igniting his paranoia. He fears a conspiracy against the church and orders the enforcer to hunt them down. The enforcer and his remaining men track Gray and Boyce to a sanctuary, the home of Boyce's friends. Here, Boyce's past is unveiled, a tragic childhood in the Lost Land, the brutal murder of his parents, a desperate fight for survival against demons and hunters, culminating in his arrival in the relative safety of the city. Their journey continues, leading them to a precarious cable car crossing. But waiting for them is the enforcer and his soldiers. A fierce battle erupts. Boyce, a whirlwind of deadly precision, clashes with the enforcer's men, while Gray weaves through the chaos, her hypnotic magic turning foes against each other. They leap onto the cable car, but the relentless soldiers follow. Gray, perched precariously on the roof, fights with supernatural agility, while Boyce battles inside. The enforcer, witnessing their defiance, orders the cable to be severed. The car plummets, held only by a single cable. A desperate climb ensues, Gray using her knives to gain purchase, Boyce scrambling on the slippery rock face. The second cable snaps, but with sheer will, they reach safety. The enforcer, aiming his sniper, falls victim to Gray's hypnotic gaze, believing they have vanished. They are safe, for now, but Boyce is wounded. He extracts the bullet himself, and Gray tends to his injury. A new scene unfolds. Gray approaches the queen, feigning pregnancy, a desperate attempt to shield the ailing king. The queen, cold and distant, desires separation from her husband, but fears losing her power. In a shocking act of calculated cruelty, she murders the king, masking it as death by illness. Gray and Boyce reach a city teeming with grotesque, humanoid demons. Boyce, remembering their weakness, douses them in oil and sets them ablaze. But these creatures are cunning, emerging from the ground, extinguishing the flames, and advancing relentlessly. Boyce fights with savage determination, but the sheer number is overwhelming. Suddenly, the demon leader appears, a terrifying figure. Gray unleashes her magic, hypnotizing the leader, commanding his horde to retreat. Then, a burst of ethereal fire from Gray's hands annihilates the remaining demons. Boyce, bewildered, asks about the fire. Gray reveals the truth. It was an illusion. Their fear and belief in fire their undoing. Their destination, the lost land. Boyce, sensing the approaching danger, urges Gray to reconsider. As they cross a bridge, the enforcer and his army appear, blocking their path. Trapped, Gray has a daring idea. She sprints across the bridge as the enforcer accelerates his train, intent on crushing her. But the bridge is broken. The train hurtles into the abyss, the enforcer and his men meeting their end. Gray leaps, caught by a waiting Boyce. News of the enforcer's demise reaches the patriarch, fueling his fear. He sees the Queen's alliance with Gray as a threat to his power. He manipulates the populace, painting the Queen as a destroyer. The Queen, learning of this, decides to use her special man. Feigning affection, she manipulates him into assassinating the patriarch and his followers, consolidating her power. Finally, they reach the Skull River, the entrance to the shapeshifter's lair. Skulls litter the ground, grim reminders of past hunters. Boyce reiterates the danger, but Gray is undeterred. As she prepares silver nails, she reveals a shocking truth to Boyce. "I know you are the shapeshifter." Her magic had unveiled his secret. She had hired him not to kill his kind, but to guide her to this place, the only place where his power could be taken by ending his life. As the full moon rises, Boyce transforms into a fearsome wolf. His power surges, and against his will, he attacks Gray. She retaliates with her magic, conjuring an illusion of swarming birds. As Boyce recoils, a giant bird attacks. He retreats, and Gray seizes the opportunity, plunging the silver nails into his flesh. The moon hides behind the clouds, and Boyce reverts to human form, unconscious. He awakens, bound in silver chains, weakened by the metal. Gray reveals her cruel deception. The silver nails contained a silver coin, poisoning him. She apologizes, bound by her curse. As she prepares to deliver the killing blow, Boyce makes a final wish, for Gray to stay with him. Tears stream down Gray's face. Every wish has a price. Boyce is willing to pay. As the full moon reappears, Boyce transforms again. Gray, with a heavy heart, plunges a dagger into his heart, ending his life. The next morning, Gray clutches Boyce's wolf skin. Returning to the city, she finds the people jubilant, weary of the church's oppressive rule. Gray's arrival ignites a rebellion. The cross is toppled. The church attacked. Gray seeks out the Queen's special man, giving him Boyce's skin, instructing him to have the Queen imbue it with her blood to claim the shapeshifter's power. The man, holding the skin, reminds Gray of his wish, to prevent the Queen from achieving her desire. Gray reveals a final twist. The Queen wanted to become a shapeshifter to be with Boyce, unaware he was the only one. To grant the Queen's wish, Boyce had to die. And now, with Boyce gone, the Queen is his. The Queen, upon learning of Boyce's death, is devastated. She remembers his rejection, his desire for someone like him, the catalyst for her desperate wish. Consumed by grief, she fails to complete the ritual before dawn. As the sun's rays touch the shapeshifter's skin, it burns to ash. Enraged, the Queen murders her special man, Jairus, realizing too late the catastrophic mistake. She has lost the army she needed to quell the rebellion. But wait, Boyce awakens. His life force was tied to his skin. Because the Queen didn't use it, he lives. Consumed by fury, he confronts Gray, demanding an explanation. Gray reveals she foresaw everything. The Queen's desire, her special man's love, the Queen's grief-stricken act, her failure to use the skin, and Boyce's resurrection. By orchestrating these events, all three wishes were fulfilled. Boyce, astonished and overjoyed, realizes Gray, the woman he loves, will stay with him. Together, they embark on their next adventure. This movie is a potent cocktail of dark fantasy, brutal action, twisted romance, and mind-bending magic, leaving you breathless until the very last unexpected twist.